PC Kandawusu Second. May the Almighty God reward them for their loyal service to our great nation, and may their souls and the souls of all the faithful departed through the mercy of God rest in perfect peace. Amen. Let's sit down, please. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank this Parliament for the excellent service to our great nation over the last 5 years. As President of the Republic, I thank you all immensely for working closely with my government. It and enacted over 70 laws. This is as commendable. I'm truly humbled and awed of this magnificent institution that is the cornerstone of our democracy. As the heartbeat of our nation, Parliament embodies the values and aspirations of our people, ensuring that their voices are heard and their interests are represented. It is a testament to the enduring spirit of democracy that we gather here today in this noble house, charged with the solemn duty of overseeing the actions of the executive and delivering on the dividends of democracy to our fellow citizens. Though knowing the pivotal role of Parliament in upholding the tenets of democracy and ensuring good governance prevails. In my experience, working with Parliament has been a defining moment in my career, especially this Parliament. I've been privileged to witness firsthand the unyielding dedication you bring to your work, the unwavering commitment to serve the people, and the tireless pursuit of excellence, though sometimes noisy. Through your leadership, our legislative dreams have been brought to fruition. For that, I am eternally grateful. As we stand at the cusp of a new era, beset by challenges and uncertainty, and imperative that we continue to hold fast to the principles that define us as a nation. Let us continue to work together in the spirit of unity and prosperity. Shown us that as Syrians, we come from every part of our great nation and hold diverse views as we must. We may not always get along, but by the words of our own national pledge, we must vow to promise to defend our honor and good name, always work for our unity, peace, freedom, and prosperity, and put our interest above all else. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, 5 years ago, under my party, answered the noble call to service by our nation's great people. We chose the path less traveled by committing to build the next generation instead of focusing on the next election. If you will recall, at the start of this SNPP administration 5 years ago, I pledged to lead a government that would work tirelessly to improve the lives of our fellow citizens. We implement from our nation's human capital and physical infrastructure. Since then, we have done exactly what we said we would. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, When I presented our vision for a new direction national development agenda in 2018, none of us, and I mean none of us, could have been economic observers for the last 3 years. The global context remains challenging as we work to keep our manifesto promises, because when we make promises, we keep them. Like many other countries, Sierra Leone has been hit by the negative impact of COVID-19 pandemic and the inflationary effect of the Ukraine-Russia conflict. My government also inherited a dire national economic situation in 2018. The truth is, my government also inherited a dire national economic situation in 2018, characterized by elevated debt levels, poor public financial management, declining GDP growth rate, sharply rising inflation, and corruption. From the beginning, we emphasized the urgency of implementing wide sweeping changes to put the country on a new path, positive trajectory. Within the context of our proactive new direction transformation agenda set out in our manifesto, my government has thus implemented a range of essential policy interventions and made numerous bold new investments over the past 5 years. These have led to positive changes in several key sectors, which I will highlight today. The impact of our policies are noted clearly in available monitoring data. They are also, even more importantly, fed by our fellow citizens. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I wish to depart from the usual format of presidential address to Parliament, keeping it more concise today. I will concentrate on human capital development as the driver for socio-economic growth, highlighting the achievements in key sectors, including education, health, agriculture, infrastructure, economy, mining, and sports. I will also highlight key achievements in cross-cutting areas, including women's and youth empowerment, anti-corruption, I am also mindful of the profound importance of human capital development in our quest for sustainable socio-economic transformation. For as long as our nation endures, the strength and the resilience of our people will be the bedrock upon which we will build our future. The true measure of a nation's greatness is not in the wealth of its resources, but in the wealth of its people. And so, we must continue to invest in our citizens, their skills, and their well-being. We must empower them to be the architects of their own destiny, chart their own course through the turbulent waters of life, and seize the opportunities that abound in a world constantly in a state of flux. As we focus on these key sectors, please note that regarding other issues, a more comprehensive report on the significant progress made by my government amidst serious global headwinds will be laid here in Parliament. Yes. I will start with investing in people, education. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, developing our nation's human capital through free quality education program has been the utmost priority of my administration. In the words of the former president of Malawi, Dr. Julius, the seeds of success in any nation on earth are best planted in women and children. Let me say this again. The seeds of success in every nation on earth are best planted in women and children. The sustainable development and success of Sierra Leone depends on the seeds of education we plant in our children now. In the past 5 years, my government has invested heavily in our young and dynamic population as we recognize that our most substantial asset is our human resources. Amid the unprecedented global headwinds causing economic disruption since 2020, our investment in education increased from under 15% in 2018 to 22% of our annual budgetary allocation. And that is spent to support primary, secondary, higher, technical and vocational education and training. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, it is deeply satisfying and encouraging to witness firsthand the positive impact of our free quality education initiative on citizens. Permit me to recount the testimonies that have stayed with me of a dynamic young girl called Aminata Litombo from Konya village, Bakakido. Ladies and gentlemen, before the advent of this administration, you can sit down now, please, lady. Before the advent of the free quality education, courtesy of the Sierra Leone People's Party, Aminata used to walk for more than 4 miles from her village to attend school. Unfortunately, she had to drop out of school at the age of 15 because her parents could no longer pay for her. This girl, filled with latent potential, was relegated to helping her own parents do subsistence farming to support the family for nearly 2 years. Then came in the Sierra Leone People's Party. Fortunately for her passion for getting an education was rekindled when she heard about the administration's free quality education. And you know what she did? She re-enrolled at another school in 2020. And following her return, this brilliant young girl because of her outstanding performance and because we recognize performance, my government selected her among other high-performing school children and youth to participate in the Transforming Education Summit at the United Nations. And at that meeting, I co-chaired with the UN Secretary General in September 2022. This was our first time traveling out of Fujong district. But she didn't get everything because the new airport was not yet there. Just imagine what a life-transforming moment it was for Maada to be among global leaders, policymakers, and fellow youth, rethinking innovative ways to transform education, not only in Sierra Leone, but in the world. Maada is currently in Freetown, excelling in her secondary school education and pursuing her valid dream of being an educated woman. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, Maada's experience is just one example of the success of this government's radical inclusion strategy and the field of education, which has also caught the attention of the international community. The impact and success of Sierra Leone's new transformational education policy have been lauded globally and solidified the nation's position as a champion of education. Our global standing was highlighted when I was unanimously appointed to co-chair the United Nations. Unanimously appointed to co-chair the UNESCO High-Level Steering Committee on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 4 to ensure inclusive, equitable, quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. Furthermore, Sierra Leone's global standing for promoting universal access to education was highlighted when I co-chaired the Global Transforming Education Summit with the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres in 2022 and made one of the global champions for foundational learning. So our 2022-2026 partnership compact with the Global Partnership for Education. Honorable members of Parliament, I am one of 5 leaders in the world to serve as champions of education. And it will interest you to know that I am the only leader in Africa chosen to lead in our beautiful country. But let me assure you, however, that our policy's impact on young people's lives will always be the most important to me and to my government. As the nation's leader, my gratitude for being accorded the opportunity of education by my uneducated mother, a visionary of her time, drives my steadfast commitment to implement our administration's bold agenda for education. After 5 years of hard work, we now have a solid foundation from which to scale up the cost. In a relatively short time, we have galvanized significant support from partners and judiciously use our domestic resources to increase education funding to 4.1 trillion over the past 5 years. Our resource mobilization effort has provided over $200 million from the education sector since 2018. This investment has enabled us to support over 80% of schools with government subsidies. At the same time, we have added around 1 million new learners and recruited over 300 education monitoring officers from 13 officers in 2018. Our investment has also improved learning outcomes with over 10 million books and teaching and learning materials supplied to learners. Additionally, we have provided school feeding for over 600,000 learners, projected to 800,000 by the extension to the western area. My administration has increased teachers' salaries through the 5 years, including an increase of 10% for junior teachers in 2019. As transportation allowance, a 30% increase, salary increase in 2020 for all teachers, and 45% increase in teacher salary for the next 3 years, 2023 to 2025 academic year, and an increase in staff wages by 75% of tertiary education institutions. Mr. Speaker, honorable members of Parliament, I'm also pleased to highlight the positive changes in the gender dimension of education in Sierra Leone since I assumed office. The data is there for all to see. We have achieved gender parity in schools. Girls have higher retention and pass rate in all national transition exams. More girls are now studying STEM disciplines, and today they have higher transition rates into tertiary and vocational institutions. In line with our long-term vision to train more women, engineers, doctors, scientists, and innovators, we have also implemented a policy that funds free quality education from primary schools through university for all girls studying STEM disciplines. Mr. Speaker, members of Parliament, the Hands of Our Girls campaign champion by the First Lady has contributed to 37%. Championed by the First Lady has contributed to 37% increase in girls in school since 2018. Teenage pregnancy has dropped by 33% to 62,500. to 41,943 in 2022. Early marriage figures have also dropped dramatically because these guys are no longer allowed to give our children, the hands of our children in marriage. That's why they left. Children now have the highest rate of guys completing primary school education in the entire West African sub-region. We are and we should be very proud of our girls. They are future leaders of this nation in various fields including medicine, engineering, and politics. They are also among the future mothers of this country. Ensuring they receive the best possible education is a national priority investment. We must continue to do all we can to equip our girls with essential skills to thrive in the 21st century and nurture their potential as we scale up the investment in education of all our children. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, within the new millenniums, involving employment and business creation needs, basic and senior secondary level reforms have been matched with extensive reforms and investment in tertiary and vocational education. An amended Universities Act has removed me and political control over tertiary education and created three new technical universities, Maada Teachers Technical University, Eastern Technical University, and the Salone University of Science. Members, that university, as I speak, is under construction, not a fake promise. More students benefit from grants in aid. My government launched the Student Loan Scheme for tertiary institutions, a manifesto commitment to opening up more technical and higher education access. Nearly a dozen technical and vocational training centers have been established or rehabilitated and are now operational in all regions of this country. We continue to work with partners to invest heavily in technical skills programs across industry to support industrialization and meet the needs of our growing economy. Modernizing the health care. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, improving the health of this nation is another primary focus of my government's human capital development agenda. It should be no surprise then that our investments in healthcare are unprecedented. My government has increased the annual budgetary allocations to healthcare from 6% in 2018 to 11.6% in 2021. We have constructed or rehabilitated 200 more health care facilities, supported specialist training of our doctors in-country, and recruited and trained over 5,000 more PIN-coded staff and an additional 8,700 community health workers recruited, which is a 50% increase since 2018. Additionally, we rolled out the Hospital on Wheels project that serves over 20,000 patients in 12 districts and installed 4 dialysis stations for treating over 700 patients. We introduced cervical cancer training at 8 health facilities. The timely availability of essential drugs has improved by 90%. 3 HPV vaccines have been provided for nearly 200,000 girls, and hundreds of solar refrigerators are now available nationwide for vaccine storage. Due to these and many more investments in healthcare, We have made great progress on many health indicators in the last 5 years. Within our region, Sierra Leone is performing well on several key indicators. Infant and maternal mortality have been reduced to far lower than the West African average. Children's immunization rates are among the highest in Africa. Stunting rates among children under 5 are lower than the average, African average. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, international partners have applauded my government's pandemic preparedness and response because it was well structured, effective and informed by science. Our policy choices and actions also minimized fatalities, one of the lowest in Africa, and the social impact of the pandemic on the poorest and the most vulnerable of our citizens. The social protection and safety nets we have implemented have continued supporting our most vulnerable citizens throughout the crisis through targeted cash transfers for livelihood sustenance. Our government secured additional grant financing of 30 million from the World Bank for the social safety net projects. This additional financing enabled the government to expand the coverage of cash transfers implemented by the National Commission for Social Action from 35,000 to over 100,000 extremely poor households. The Social Safety Net project has established the key building blocks for a basic national safety network system in Sierra Leone. Due to the successful implementation of the 30 million social safety project, which ends in June of this year, my government has secured another World Bank funding of 40 million United States. The productive social safety net and youth empowerment project focuses on improving access to social safety net and income generating opportunities for youth in urban and rural areas. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, we have also registered some of the highest COVID-19 vaccination rates in the sub-region. Over 3.6 million citizens, that is 73%, are fully vaccinated, with 87.6 have received at least one dose of the vaccine. Agriculture. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the steep rise in global food prices due to COVID-19 pandemic disruption and the Ukraine-Russia war continues to impact consumer household budgets everywhere. My government is particularly concerned by the increase in food insecurity that so many of our fellow citizens face. Investing more smartly in agriculture sector thus remains a core priority to address this challenge. As Sierra Leoneans, we are blessed with fertile land and with great potential to produce more than enough food to meet our domestic needs. My working visit to Vietnam last year was an eye-opener that provided a vivid example of the challenge and opportunities before us. The agricultural similarities between our two nations are clear, so it is the stark contrast of farming outcomes. Vietnam and Sierra Leone have more than 5 million hectares of arable land and receive more than 5 months of heavy rainfall. Vietnam uses that to produce 44 million metric tons of rice and is net rice exporter. Here in Sierra Leone, we produce less than 1 million metric tons of rice, and we are net importers, making it due to our unsustainable small-scale subsistence farming methods. This must change. We must put more seeds into our fertile soil and raise more livestock and poultry. Only by improving our local food production can we cushion the effects of global disruptions in our food prices, ensure food self-sufficiency, and transform our economy. Over the last 5 years, my government has implemented a policy shift in agriculture to drive this change. Using the public-private partnership model, we established a 10 million agriculture credit facility to de-risk and support private sector agricultural investment. We have provided more seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, and other agricultural inputs into over 12,000 farmers annually through the e-voucher system to boost food production. Also, we have established mechanized services, including 15 machine rings, with over 400 tractors and power tillers nationwide. We have also reviewed and revamped the Sierra Leone Agricultural Research Act to address food insecurity. Following the productive mission of the Dakar II Summit on Food Sovereignty and Resilience convened by the African Development Bank, our nation is now actively engaged with the bank to develop an agricultural impact compact for over $500 million to improve agricultural productivity and food security. Due to this agricultural transformation policy shift and these investments, there is now more private sector activity in rice and value chains. This has resulted in a 21% increase in rice production, greater engagement of rural youth and women in agriculture business, and a 35% reduction in input distribution. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, agriculture remains the predominant sector of our economy, accounting for an average of 51% of our GDP over the last decade and employs approximately 65% of labor force, but mainly subsistence farming. While our great nation possesses high agricultural potential, agriculture yields and labor productivity remains extremely low, partly due to huge infrastructure bottlenecks and financing gaps. To feed our people, we must transition from being a net food importer to developing an agro-industrial zone in our rural areas to becoming net exporters of primary agricultural commodities. My SLPP administration's future aspiration to take advantage of our nation's soil wealth, grow agriculture as a business in climate-smart ways, and leverage it as a fundamental source of job and wealth creation for national prosperity. This will inspire citizens, especially the youth, to see agriculture as a profitable and sustainable business. Building more resilient and inclusive economy. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, these transformational investments and impactful results since 2018 that I highlighted so far have been significantly enabled by our government's efforts to improve the nation's economy and debt management as soon as we assumed office. Our immediate reforms produced positive outcomes until the COVID-19 pandemic struck. GDP growth rate from 3.7% in 2018 went to 5.5% by 2019. Revenue generation surpassed 15% of GDP annually. We reduced the debt burden and brought inflation down to single digits. We have since been readmitted to IMF Extended Credit Facility Program. During the APC time, we were excluded. We have diversified and broadened the economic base. We have diversified and broadened the economic base by boosting mining, agriculture, fisheries, tourism, SMEs, and manufacturing productivity. Made in Sweden vegetable oil, soap, fruit juices, coffee, chocolate, plastics now exist. These essential products are consumed locally and exported to sub-regional and other markets. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I'm acutely aware of the difficulties we face as we navigate through the stormy waters of supply chain disruptions, rising shipping costs, and skyrocketing food and fuel prices. These global economic challenges have put immense pressure on our local economies, causing inflationary pressures that have hit the poorest members of our society the hardest. But in the face of these daunting obstacles, we must not falter. Instead, we must rise to the occasion and show the world the true strength of Sierra Leone. As we stand together in solidarity and resilience, knowing that our perseverance and hard work will ultimately lead us to a brighter future, let us draw the strength from our shared history and culture as we work towards a more prosperous and equitable future for all. The road ahead may be difficult, but I'm confident that with determination, grit, and a steadfast commitment to our values, we will overcome these challenges and emerge stronger and more resilient than ever before. To cushion the impact of these global headwinds, my government's quick action economic response program has been put in place, providing, among other things, one, a special credit facility through the Bank of Sierra Leone with 2 tranches of $50 million US each during the COVID-19 pandemic to support the importation of essential commodities. 2, another food facility of $50 million during the ongoing Ukraine-Russia crisis to support the importation of rice, flour, sugar, and many more. 3, a $36 million reserve fuel facility for fuel importation. Furthermore, to avoid the shortage of essential commodities and stabilize prices, my government has maintained zero import duty and GST on imported rice, deferred taxes on the importation of essential supplies during the COVID-19 pandemic, and reduced taxes on certain essential items, including cement and iron rods. Beyond that, we have also prioritized local food and agriculture production, even securing a 1.8 million grant from the ADB under the African Emergency Food Production Facility to support farmers with agriculture inputs. Over 30,000 hectares of rice have been cultivated, and there was a 21% increase in production between 2021 and 2022. I'm happy to report that we did not import rice seeds for the first time in decades for the year 2021-2022 planting season. Despite limited development assistance and investment finance inflows due to the continuing global economic downturns, we have maintained strong relationships with our development partners, kept existing businesses, and attracted additional investors, especially in mining, light manufacturing, and the construction sectors. Youth job creation schemes and access to innovative financing have boosted overall job figures. Salaries and pensions have been increased to keep in step with living costs. Teacher salaries have received between 10 to 45% increase since 2018. Entrepreneurship promotion initiatives have been implemented, particularly for women and youth, introducing a digital biometric ID card and modest reforms in the financial services sector means more financial inclusion and access to credit, especially for women and young people. According to several objective global indicators, my government has achieved the highest marks for gender in the economy and access to credit than any other of its predecessors. With this reform-minded thrust, I intend to do even more in my second term. I promise more goodies for the second time. I'm pleased to highlight that we have been careful in borrowing and spending. There is one more thing that the debt my administration is servicing, we are not contracted only in the past 5 years, but also debts that were inherited from the previous APC administration. Over the last 5 years, this administration has spent money on urgent things to build schools, roads, bridges, to educate our children and train our young people, and to equip them to face a competitive world and develop and strengthen our healthcare system in the face of a deadly pandemic. We have managed public resources judiciously and not overborrowed or spent recklessly as before. Indeed, the evidence of how we have utilized public funds to improve our society is nationwide. Our inclusive New Direction Transformation agenda has included every district and province. Mr. Speaker, there is still an enormous task ahead of to build more schools, tertiary institutions, and healthcare facilities, and equip them with modern technology and equipment. There is considerable work to be done to turn our rural areas from zones of economic misery to economic prosperity through agriculture. There is more to do to light up and to power remote villages and to give them access to potable water, among many other things. Mr. Speaker, I will not rest in my effort to build a more inclusive and resilient economy. Tourism. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, my government's decision to prioritize tourism as a key policy for economic diversification, job creation, and growth is yielding dividends. Just last month, Mr. Speaker, the reputable Time magazine, the world's greatest places of 2023, ranked Freetown Peninsula as Africa's new coastal hub and one of the 50 extraordinary destinations to explore. Highlighting, and I quote, with diverse wildlife, world-class surfing waves, vibing coastal capital of Freetown, a brand new airport. Last year in this August House, I appealed passionately to honorable members who believe in an inclusive and equal future for all Surinamers to vote in favor of the gender equality and women empowerment. I argued then that the future and fortunes of our great nation are tied to equal and unthreatened representation and participation of women in all facets of our national life, governance and development. I wholeheartedly thank this Parliament for passing this landmark Dewey Act in November 2022. Signed this into law on the 19th January this year. The Dewey Act includes provisions to promote women's participation in politics and decision-making processes. At least 30% representation of women in elected and appointed positions in all classes of society. Thank you. The Dewey Act also ensures equal pay for equal work, address gender-based violence, and mainstreams gender into national decision-making among many other provisions. My pledge to all women of our great nation is that this administration will fully apply, even exceed and monitor the full implementation of all provisions of the Dewey Act. There will be no difference in the gender balance in the next Parliament as prescribed by the landmark language. We will have more women members of Parliament and this is in recognition of the fact that women have been historically disadvantaged and discouraged from participating in local and national politics. My party, the Suriname People's Party, the Talk and Do Party, corruption. Mr. Speaker, honorable members of Parliament, our 2018 manifesto identified corruption as an existential threat. With our committed leadership, a comprehensive national anti-corruption strategy, and policy and legislative reforms, every reputable international indicator over the last 5 consecutive years have scored Sierra Leone as outstanding in an effort at controlling corruption. We have sustained progression in transparency, international corruption perception index from 130 in 2018 to 110 in 2022. A 20-place move in just 4 years. We were consistently going behind during the previous regime. There have been record convictions and billions of leones in non-conviction assets based recovery. Peer nations have studied and adopted our successful model for preventing and fighting corruption. As a result of this notable success, we have been rewarded with eligibility for the compact worth hundreds of millions of the United States dollars. I'm pleased to report positive trends in the extractive industries, one of the most significant sectors of our economy. Since 2018, there has been a substantial increase in revenue from mining, and over 6,000 more Sierra have been hired by mining companies. Even at the height of COVID-19 pandemic, we worked with investors to keep things are operational than in 2018. Operating in compliance with our regulations. At the same time, small-scale and lithium mining operators are now as protected as large-scale operators. With the new Mines and Minerals Development Act 2022, many communities in mining areas are also experiencing more direct benefit from the extractive sector today than ever before. But this is how it should be. Surface rent, taxes, and other community development agreement payments have increased tenfold from 0.01% to 1%. 20% of royalties now go back to the mining communities. CDA funds are used towards the sustainable development of the mining communities, including transformational infrastructure such as schools, healthcare centers, water access, roads that will remain beyond the lifespan of the mining operations in those areas. Just last month alone, on March the 30th, I handed over a check of 20 billion. jump on it immediately. We have beyond love, make our good. Before this time, they have promised 0.01% and they are giving nothing. This one was following the first CDA payment of 5.4 billion again to the mining communities. It is anticipated that was in Putlaka district. And it is anticipated that Marampa Mines Limited will soon make a CDA payment of over 30 billion this week. Leone to communities in Putlaka district. Nothing has been to them. Today, transparency and accountability and governance of the mining sector are also at an all-time high, with Sweden achieving a reputation score of 87.5% from the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative. Yes, Lord. Now I come to the energy sector. Mr. Speaker, honorable members. My government continues to work hard to provide universal access to affordable, reliable, sustainable and modern energy in line with UN SDG 7. There have been challenges. The government has had to pay substantial subsidies to the sector to keep tariffs lower for our citizens, especially because of the sudden rise in generation costs. The government provided subsidies to EDSA, EXA, amounting to 508.5 billion euros as of September 2022. And this was to support the purchase of share for car power and payment for imported power under the CLSG arrangements. The illegal abstraction of electricity by businesses and private citizens cost billions of leones annually. Over the past 5 years, and at great cost to the government, in replacements, there have been over 100 incidents of gutted transformers, damaged cables, and even electricity poles have been set on fire. And we know the suspects. We have replaced and rehabilitated those assets in line with our mission to provide reliable and affordable electricity to Sierra Leone. Consistent with Sierra Leone People's Party manifesto promises, we have doubled energy access from 16% to 32% in just 5 years. We have worked with development partners and the private sector to implement sustainable solutions and create a good energy mix. Renewable energy use has grown from less than 35% in 2018 to over 75% in 2022. Sierra Leone's energy sector is being transformed before our eyes at a fast pace. My government has worked with partners to extend renewable and clean off-grid solar electricity to 97 dams. Work on grid extension from Faribu to Kabbalah, to Peru to Pujem, Bumpe to Kwaidu, and other possibilities. The rehabilitation of the Western Area distribution network is underway, and peri-urban areas of Freetown are now connected to the grid. Electricity distribution infrastructure for all district headquarter towns have been installed. The implementation of the NCC compact will see a doubling of generation and distribution capacity, as well as the availability of electricity across economic growth corridors in Sierra Leone. Next is investing in hard infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, with focused planning and our development economic infrastructure in 5 years than our predecessors. In keeping with our commitment to make Sierra Leone competitive, to make Sierra Leone a competitive touristic destination and a hub for aviation activities in the sub-region, the ultra-modern Freetown International Airport infrastructure of Leone the ultra-modern Freetown International Airport at Leone, which might be called the Julius Maada International Airport, this was constructed at zero expense to this country, and it's without question the newest and hard infrastructure and architecturally one of the best in the sub-region. It is fully ICAO certified, it has quadrupled our passenger handling capacity, its facilities are expansive, and has a 1.5 megawatt solar power for electricity. The new airport will attract and accommodate large modern carriers and new travel-related infrastructure investment, including the convention center and an international standard hotel. It will also create employment opportunities and skills transfer opportunities for nationals. I'm pleased that even the most ardent of critics, when he came back from America last week used the airport and agreed on record that this infrastructure investment is timely and necessary. The Freedom International Airport signals a new era for open skies and economic activities, making Sierra Leone a more attractive destination for tourists and investors. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I'm pleased to report that my government, working with the People's Republic of China, has built and commissioned the first Sierra Leone Foreign Service Academy, state-of-the-art academy of excellence for training foreign service practitioners in Sierra Leone and across the sub-region. The Foreign Service Academy will enable us to solidify our effort to promote our nation's foreign policy and strengthen cooperation with regional and international partners. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I'm proud of our work, especially in the road sector. My government, working with partners, has completed the dual carriage highway, 4 lanes, with 3 lines medians from Freetown to Maisiaka. The route between Bo and Banajuma, 46 kilometers, and the Banajuma MRU road, 105 kilometers, and 3 major bridges, a highway from Moyamba Junction to Moyamba, and 4 modern bridges. The Pandemic Island Road, which is 28 kilometers, and the hill station to Region, completed with modern lighting. The Leone Road is nearing completion. The Hillside Bypass Road has been completed and will soon be commissioned. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, we have expanded or undertaking regraveling road works and covered bridges in 1,800 kilometers of roads across the country, opening up remote communities and productive agricultural areas. More farmers can now bring their goods to the market, giving citizens easy access to public services. Given unpredictable spikes in the cost of petroleum products and because of the downstream petroleum value chain creates thousands of jobs, my government has commissioned storage tanks assumed office. In 2018, we have completed several virtually abandoned multi-million public building projects and constructed new ones. These include the Anti-Corruption Commission headquarters building. If you're not highly rated for your anti-corruption moves, you cannot complete or finish the anti-corruption building because you don't want it to work. The National Committee